Commanding General Yahanna, is America on the brink of World War III? Join us for a real discussion about America's future.
For God's justice to be right in the earth, this entire country has to be devastated in nuclear war.
Is the Third World War coming, and what does this mean for black and brown people? You don't want to miss it. It's July 28th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. 1522 South Wabash Ave, Chicago, Illinois. Be there.
That's right. I was a young man 35 years ago, and they said Russia would turn on America after it came together with America.
This is, man, the last safe haven for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You don't want to miss out, and it's $30 to get in. Also, we will be having a lecture party, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then we're going to be having an after party, to be announced, 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. For any more information, contact 708-506-5738. 708-506-5738. Commanding General Yahanna, is America on the brink of World War III? Join us for a real discussion about America's future.
For God's justice to be right in the earth, this entire country has to be devastated in nuclear war.
Is the Third World War coming, and what does this mean for black and brown people? You don't want to miss it. It's July 28th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. 1522 South Wabash Ave, Chicago, Illinois. Be there.
That's right. I was a young man 35 years ago, and they said Russia would turn on America after it came together with America.
This is, man, the last safe haven for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You don't want to miss out, and it's $30 to get in. Also, we will be having a lecture party, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then we're going to be having an after party, to be announced, 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. For any more information, contact 708-506-5738. 708-506-5738.
Commanding General Yahanna will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle. Finally, the truth about King James, a black man who helped to preserve and safeguard the Bible. Live September 29th, 2023. Commanding General Yahanna, live at King James Castle in Scotland. Come on down and support the I.S.U.P.K. UK. Lift the glass, come and join the brotherhood and drink with the ancient as we celebrate and keep the Feast of Tabernacles for our King Yahushua in King James Castle, bringing his crew of heavy hitters. Commanding General Yahanna will put 12 chill General Muhammad scripture breakdown class up against anyone, against any biblical scholar, untested, unchallenged, I.S.U.P.K, undefeated. Leviticus chapter 23, the Feast of Tabernacles in a black man's castle, hosted in Scotland. the United Kingdom, UK. Commanding General Yahanna will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle, Thursday, September 28th, Scripture Breakdown class. Friday, September 29th, there will be a King James Castle tour, also a Johnny Walker Distillery tour, and Friday night, the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles. Saturday, September 30th, we will have camp on the streets of England. Sunday, October 1st, the UK Cookout. Monday, October 2nd, the Warwickshire Castle Tour. I.S.U.P.K. under commanding General Yahanna at King James Castle in England. This is an absolutely monumental, historical event.
Want us to stop. But man, don't we deserve a shot? Don't we deserve a shot to be the Lord's people? Israel, let's do it!
Commanding General Yahanna will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle. Finally, the truth about King James, a black man who helped to preserve and safeguard the Bible. Live, September 29th, 2023. Commanding General Yahanna, live at King James Castle in Scotland. Come on down and support the I.S.U.P.K. UK. Lift the glass, come and join the brotherhood and drink with the ancient as we celebrate and keep the Feast of Tabernacles for our King Yahushua in King James Castle, bringing his crew of heavy hitters. Commanding General Yahanna will put 12 shield General Muhammad Scripture Breakdown class up against anyone, against any biblical scholar, untested, unchallenged, I.S.U.P.K. undefeated. Leviticus chapter 23, the Feast of Tabernacles in a black man's castle, hosted in Scotland, the United Kingdom, UK. Commanding General Yahanna will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle, Thursday, September 28th, Scripture Breakdown class. Friday, September 29th, there will be a King James Castle tour, also a Johnny Walker Distillery tour, and Friday night, the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles. Saturday, September 30th, we will have camp on the streets of England. Sunday, October 1st, the UK Cookout. Monday, October 2nd, the Warwickshire Castle Tour. I.S.U.P.K. under commanding General Yahanna at King James Castle in England. This is an absolutely monumental, historical event. Want
us to stop. But man, don't we deserve a shot? Don't we deserve a shot to be the Lord's people? Israel, let's do it!
Commanding General Yahanna is America on the brink of World War III. Join us for a real discussion about America's future.
For God's justice to be right in the earth, this entire country has to be devastated in nuclear war.
It's the Third World War coming, and what does this mean for black and brown people? You don't want to miss it. It's July 28th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. 1522 South Wabash Ave, Chicago, Illinois. Be there.
That's right. I was a young man 35 years ago, and they said Russia would turn on America after it came together with America.
This is, man, the last safe haven for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You don't want to miss out, and it's $30 to get in. Also, we will be having a lecture party, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then we're going to be having an after party, to be announced, 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. For any more information, contact 708-506-5738. 708-506-5738.
Y'all should not put much on track. Wednesday night scripture breakdown, rocking it off from DC. You all know this week is a big week, Chicago cookout fire weekend. Give that a hand. Right? That's doing that lecture from Chicago on World War III. World War III. Listen, for those of y'all who heading down to Chicago this weekend, that lecture is going to be held at the Chicago School, 9909 Roosevelt Road, Westchester, Illinois. Westchester, Illinois. General is bringing it into the hometown for you, making it easier access. I know the commercial before advertising another location. We apologize for the inconvenience, but that lecture that Commander Yahanna going to do is going to be done right at the Chicago School, right at home for everybody who is familiar with the whole zone. 9909 Roosevelt Road, Westchester, Illinois. Of course, if you have any more questions, contact the Chicago School, contact your camp leader, and get plugged in with the whole thing. All right. Yeah, camp going on Friday. I believe tomorrow is Asking the Prophets of Jeremiah kicking off. Of course, Jeremiah Hyman is doing scripture breakdown class. From Chicago tomorrow. I believe Cross the Line is also from Chicago tomorrow. You know what I mean? And Saturday is that Bantu Festival. You know what I mean? The meat market, if you know what I'm talking about. Right? Not the shambles, but the meat market. And Sunday is the Midwest Fire Weekend Cookout live there in Chicago. Make your way down. You know what I mean? It ain't too late. You can still get together and rock it out.
Oh, okay.
All right. So tonight we're going into a little bit of perspective on America's home on terrorism. All right. Everybody, America, they like to act like they're always the victim of something, and somebody's always trying to attack them. When on closer inspection, you realize they attack themselves so much because, of course, our oppressor, he's just violent by nature. He can't get along with anyone, and which is the reason why we should totally separate from it. All right. Let me know if there's any questions in the class, any questions in the chat. All right. And we'll deal with those. It's also the scripture breakdown and / law class. If you have any questions, for sure, let's get them. If not, we definitely gonna rock into the whole topic. All right. Make sure you'll get down there and check out Commander Yahanna lecture. Is World War III imminent? Is World War III imminent? He gonna break the whole thing down for you, give you the whole proof. You know what I mean? School you up, make you understand what's really going on, and give you the biblical proof, historical and biblical proof of the whole thing and why it's right around the corner, why we should now separate from this kingdom and come into the truth, come into the service of the Lord, because what's getting ready to happen to this place is going to be biblical. The Bible says it's going to be the new Egypt in terms of what the Lord did to Egypt. Everybody hears about what he did to Egypt, but it's going to be a new record. Like, we ain't going to talk about Egypt no more. But now we're going to talk about how he removed us from the days of from the land of the north.
Right.
All right. So make sure you get down there, check out that lecture. I believe it's streaming on some platform. It's called Chicago Code Camp Leader. Right. I think it's a $10 entry fee. Yeah, I think online too you can get the stream. I'm verified. I'm verified for sure for you.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Any questions at all?
I don't see any questions online. So just check-ins from the brothers and sisters, but no questions online, sir.
No, sir. If you have any questions, you'll type it in and play it in. All right. So, of course, everybody understands terrorism since September 11, 2001. The whole concept or the whole understanding of terrorism, I don't want to say has been warped or changed. I would say it has been heightened. There's been a heightened sense of alertness when it comes to the terrorism that's that people have experienced in America, or the whole concept of it, right? The whole concept of it. So somebody pull for me real quick the definition of terrorism.
Okay.
Right? Terror and terrorism. Let's go with that there first.
Okay.
Let me get that. The definition of terror and terrorism.
I'm gonna get terrorism, sir. The definition of terrorism from Merriam-Webster.
So that StreamYard link, send it to SWAP as well, right? You can send it to him, I think, either Facebook Messenger or make sure he gets it, all right?
Sir.
Anybody else who may want to jump in?
He said Officer SWAP, sir.
Officer SWAP, yeah. I'm sure that.
Sir.
I think he usually gets it when he needs to. Anybody else have it? Why the brother doing it? Go ahead.
I got the word terror.
Go ahead.
Terror. Mm-hmm. In the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a state or intense or overwhelming fear.
Right. A state of or
overwhelming fear.
Right. Terror is a state of intense or overwhelming fear. Some people describe it as crippling fear. The crippling type of fear, some way you can't think straight. You can't. In some cases, you can't physically move because you're so scared. Right? People talk about fight or flight, but sometimes there's a terror where you want to run and you can't do nothing. You want to fight and you can't do anything. You're paralyzed by fear. Go ahead.
So, like I said, I was on a roller coaster the other day, and when we got off,
what do you have to do on a roller coaster now? You must have had a boring day. You must I need to go live. Go ahead.
It's like the dude in front of me was like, I caught a cramp. I was like, you shouldn't hold on so tight. He was saying he was only terrified the whole
ride. That shit. Just hold on so tight. I don't know what the hell you're doing on the roller coasters at this stage in your career. Yeah, I mean that. You're great. I got top feeling like nuts on boats. That's too many of them rides. Just fall the hell over. I want to say the ground. Thank you. I go up in a plane though, but that other thing there, no, we don't know that. Right? Terror, intense fear. Right? Give me terrorism. You got it. Go ahead.
Terrorism, the unlawful use of violence.
Say it again.
The unlawful use of violence.
Right. No. So terrorism. The first thing, terror is an adjective. Is describing a certain feeling that you get, which is intense fear. Right? Intense fear. What does it say again? Shafat? Intense fear or something?
Intense or overwhelming fear.
Intense or overwhelming fear. Like this thing is just all over you. You can't, you can't see your way. You can't think straight. You can't move straight. But terrorism is
the unlawful use of violence.
The unlawful use of violence. Go ahead.
And intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aim.
Right, in the pursuit of political aim. So now let's unpack that for a second, right? It said the unlawful use of violence, or what?
Sorry, the unlawful use of violence and intimidation.
Right? Against civilians for some sort of political goal or political aim, which lets you know what? There is a lawful use of violence against civilians.
Right.
Let's understand that part first. If terrorism is the unlawful use of violence, there must be a lawful use of violence for a political end goal, right? That's supposed to be usually the penalties for breaking a law. The penalties for breaking a law would usually come forward in the form of lawful violence. Whether you get snatched up and thrown in a cell, whether you get, you're found hanging at the end of a rope. I'm talking about in terms of after a judge done sentence you to death, execution, something like that, right? You trying to take the life or lives of some innocent person, and somebody else is there who is now intervening to defend the lives of people. That's lawful use of force or lawful use of violence, right? Yes. But of course, in that case, self-defense is not political, right? The other thing is political because why? In different countries, you have different death penalties for different offenses. Right? You got different uses of violence based on their political background, their agenda, what they believe in, right? So terrorism is the unlawful use of violence or intimidation on civilians for a political aim. Go ahead. Anything else? Okay. There's a little bit more. Find the definition where to give you a little bit more of it. That's definitely a good basic one. So really, the violence is meant to inspire what's in you. Terror, which is that fear we just read of. That fear that's crippling, that fear that's intense and overwhelming. And because of that intense, overwhelming fear, now you could be, corralled or coerced into some, action that somebody wants, right? Now, America has been a terror to Black, Hispanic, and Native or First Peoples for hundreds of years.
Right.
America has done extreme terrorism to Black, Native, or First Peoples for hundreds of years. However, America has never been called on it in the rooms where it matters.
Right.
Of course, we talk about our own injustices, but in the rooms where it matters, in Stockholm, Sweden, and where the Geneva Convention, in the United Nations, in the G8, the gathering of them great 8 nations, there's never a talk about war crimes or terrorism done by the American government on the civilians of a whole other country that they just happen to have within their country. It's never ever spoken about like that. They look at it as that was lawful violence against us, right? That's how they look at it. Like that was lawful violence against us. So now let's go back and see, let's try to understand the history of this thing in America, right? So now give me the definition for homeborn terrorism. Homeborn or homegrown terrorism or terrorist, right? Homeborn terrorism or homegrown terrorism or terrorist. All right, give me the definition for that or give me the explanation for that. All right. Let's say when you have it, please.
Okay.
Right? Homeborn terrorism or homegrown terrorist. Give me the definition for that. All right. Also, somebody else look up for me the outside of 9/11, what is the biggest act of terrorism on American soil?
A big part of is domestic terrorism.
I'll take that. Domestic terrorism. I'll take that.
Domestic terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
The unlawful use of violence or threats.
There that phrase go again. Unlawful use of violence. So there is a lawful use.
Right.
For for Christians who think everything is about peace.
Right.
Right. There is a lawful use of it, and it's perfectly fine and lawful. Right. But this one, You was gonna say something?
No, not.
This one here is the unlawful use of violence. Go ahead.
Or threats against a country's civilian population or government.
Against a country's civilian population or government.
Right.
That's domestic terrorism. And of course, what was done to us will never be viewed as domestic terrorism because we are not that country's civilian population. They don't look at us as we say.
Right.
You understand? So we could talk about everything that was done to us for hundreds of years. As far as they're concerned, we will not recognize as people.
Right.
So they will never say, well, okay, yes, what was done to us was terrorism. Right? Building a cross on your front lawn, that was not to make you, that was not a welcome to the neighborhood. That was to inspire terror in you. That was to make you scared to sleep. You get the point? That was to make you scared to live there. It would start with stuff like that, then it would result in, it would escalate to vandalism, acts of vandalism on their property, and finally it would now escalate all the way through the roof to total physical harm with kidnappings, lynchings, lynch mobs, missing people, downright murder, right? But those tactics was meant to inspire terror in you, an absolute terrorism where you would now, the political agenda was for you to get to hell out of America. It's to make you so uncomfortable you would leave. Like this wouldn't be a place you want to be around. You would just leave. That was the end goal of it. Of course, the immediate goal was for you to leave whatever region you was in and to totally be separate. All right, anymore?
Go
ahead.
By an individual or group based and operating within the same country and without foreign direction, with the goal of furthering political.
Read that part again. By the same.
Within the same country and without foreign direction.
Read it again from the top.
The unlawful use of violence or threats against a country's civilian population or government by an individual or group based and operating within the same country and without foreign direction.
Right. So now that's what it's saying. It's done by an individual or group operating in the same country that they're doing the act in, without any directive by a foreign entity, be it an individual or government. Meaning you're not acting on behalf of somebody else. Right? Anymore?
With the goal of furthering political, social, or ideological objectives.
Right? So with the goal of enforcing social, political, or ideological objectives. Which means what? Okay, what would be the terrorism, unlawful violence that would promote a political objective? What would be that? What would be the unlawful violence that would promote a political objective?
The storming of the Capitol.
Thank you. Give me my hand. Walk straight to the point. I'm thinking about other stuff. You walk straight to the point. That there is terrorism to promote a political objective. What's the political objective? They want Trump in office. Right? And that was done by local people with local motives, with domestic influence. This wasn't done from somebody else arranging it. You get the point? On the conversely, you have historically, you remember when Egypt went through their government collapsing. This was a few years ago with the fall of the Arab Spring and the Arabic Brotherhood, the Islamic Brotherhood. You ever remember that? There was riots in the streets of Egypt a few years ago, and this was organized through Facebook. The whole thing was organized and mobilized by the youth of Egypt through Facebook. And that was not solely local, domestic. You get the point? That had outside influence because the youth now wanted to be what? More American. They wanted the freedoms of what America would have, and they wanted to go against the classic form of how they would grow, the classic form of the government, the traditional ways. They wanted to go against it. You get the point? And all that was inspired through Facebook. It was organized through Facebook, organized through the damn internet. That is totally different to what we're talking about here, right? That January 6th was an absolute act of terrorism. It was an absolute act of terrorism. It was an attempt to hold the government hostage, and by extension, the population of America hostage, so that they can now put in power who they want to put in power, when that's not how it's supposed to happen.
Right.
But of course, you have oppressors who would say that was not terrorism, that was people exercising their First Amendment rights, the right to protest, right? The right to, freedom of speech. They would say that, however, that's not what it was. Now, on the other side, you have oppressors who would agree that that was terrorism. You have oppressors who would say what they did crossed the line. It blurred the line of freedom of speech and the right to protest, right? They would say that was terrorism. Give me something else. Give me any more domestic? Go ahead.
I got I looked up homeborn, but it came up as homegrown terrorism.
I'll take that.
Homegrown terrorism, the committing of terrorist acts in the perpetrator's own country against their fellow citizens.
Say that one more time.
Homegrown terrorism, the committing of terrorist acts in the perpetrator's own country against their fellow citizens.
Right. Say that, brother. That's right. All right.
Perpetrators.
All right. So now, where's the So who looked up the outside of 9/11? Because 9/11 was terrorism, was domestic. That would be considered international terrorism, because of course the perpetrators were not American citizens, even though the act was done to inspire terror in American citizens. The influence was not from a domestic source. The influence was from outside. So now, what is give me the biggest act of terror on American soil?
I mean, Black Wall Street.
Historically, give me what you could prove.
The Oklahoma bombing.
That's what is written. You could look it up. Just look up the biggest act of domestic terrorism on American soil.
Oh, okay.
And they have it as that. Go ahead.
We talking about domestic terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
When they dropped the bombs on Philadelphia.
Well, that's not the biggest one. That's when I say the biggest one. I'm not talking about what we know as the biggest, right? Which is our slavery, which is Jim Crow, which is the Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood. You get the point? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what you can now go and battle some Republican, in the return somewhere with the facts that everybody could pull up and see. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm talking. What they have on paper as the biggest act of terrorism on American soil. What do you have?
I was gonna say that for me, just back in the day, the damn school shootings, we had mass shootings that we had in America.
You have the mass shootings, but those don't count as the biggest one.
They have to be domestic.
Yes. You found it? Anybody looked it up? Good God, you said it though.
Okay, kind of Oklahoma. Okay.
All right. Pull it up for me and give me a little background on.
Okay. I got the.
Let me know if you have any questions. All right.
Hold on, okay, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is through the Wikipedia. The Oklahoma City bombing.
Uh-huh.
The Oklahoma City bombing was a domestic terrorist truck bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, United States, on April the 19th, 1995. The second anniversary of Furry End of Waco City. That's what.
Hold on. Read it again from the top.
Come. The Oklahoma City bombing was a domestic terrorist truck bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, United States, on April 19th, 1995. The second anniversary of Furry End to the Waco siege. Waco siege. It was the deadliest act of terrorism.
Waco siege.
It's like a
siege, right? They describe it as a siege, like how you would siege a country or a castle. Like you siege it by basically cutting it off, surrounding it, and you're waiting them out. All right, that's a siege, right? Come on.
Oh, you got Officer Swap. You're all in the chat about to add them to the stream.
No, sir. Go ahead, Kevon.
Yes, Yabashim Shabakta.
Yabashim Shabakta, what's going on now?
To absent.
So what know about domestic terrorism? Trinidad went through a coup in 1990, which is an overthrow of the government. It was done by a Trinidadian brother. However, it's domestic terrorism and just the action. The motive was from Muammar Gaddafi, right? It was from him because that brother, I.S.U.P.K, he's dead now. He had his men training in Libya and had a ton of support from Gaddafi, and he decided to overthrow the government. At that time for what he thought was, good intention. However, that's an act of terrorism, and it's domestic because, of course, it's to instill fear for a political agenda. All right, give me some more.
Come. It was the deadliest act of terrorism in the U.S. history until September 11th attacks.
Right. So according to their records, the Oklahoma bombing of that federal building was the deadliest act of terror on U.S. soil until September 11th. Right. And of course, they still see it as the deadliest domestic terrorist attack because September 11th, they don't consider it domestic because it's outside influence. You get it going? But until September 11th, the greatest act of terror on American soil was committed by white American male, ex-military soldier, right? A good old southern Texas white. I think it's Texas. No, I think he's from upstate New York, but he was living down with a good American white boy. He committed the biggest act of domestic terrorism on American soil until 9/11. Go ahead.
I remember this so vividly. I think I was in elementary school at the time, and my dad was reading the paper, and when he went to go execute the Edomite was so thorough. He just before they executed him, they said he nodded his head at the execution like farewell.
Hell yeah! Like he I'm not supporting them when I say hell yeah, but you do the research on this particular type and group. They have political agendas that run down near deep as their bloodline. That's why how he went the way he went. And you'll see, in a little bit we're gonna bring up why he was like that all the way until the end. All right. So give me someone. Is anyone on the way on the bombing?
Let me right now. Okay.
We got it. We already have it on the board, but brother in the chat room, your Yahanna says Salah gets there. His name is Timothy McVeigh. He just jumped to the gun on it, but just given that one of the answers he had gave as well was that that he offered the attack on Pearl Harbor in World War II.
But Pearl Harbor wouldn't be domestic terrorism. That would just be an act of war.
Okay.
That would just be a full-out act of war. Which again, we as a people, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native and First people, we can say America has done an act of war on us.
Right.
And we talk about the Philly move bombing, right? When it dropped bombs on or a bomb on that building in Philadelphia, that's an act of war. Tulsa, Oklahoma, act of war.
Right.
So either way, if you don't want to classify us as American citizens to not qualify for your people doing terrorism to us, then surely it's an act of war. If we're not your citizens, then we somebody else's, which means what you did to us was an absolute act of war.
Right.
All right. What do you have?
I got some more, sir.
Please.
Perpetrated by two anti-government extremists.
Right. Now that's what you got to look at first. This Oklahoma bombing was done by two anti-government extremists. Until this day, they said since 2016, since Trump came into office, these little white anti-government militia groups have damn near tripled in number and grown and become more vicious and more focused, right? Damn near, it's a blessing on our end because now you really, for the most recent history, you're looking at us like we're the problem. But now you are forced to look at your own people. You are absolutely forced to look at your own people. And January 6th is the proof that you dropped the ball, that you're trying to have brotherhood for your people when you can't. you have to profile your people a lot harder. If you profile the people a lot harder, then how much it was 3 or 4 cops that got beat to death and then committed suicide after January 6th, that wouldn't have happened. If you had profiled the people harder. They use your planes, they use your roadways, they came to your capital, and you act like you knew nothing about it, when since 2016, the FBI has been recording the dramatic increase in these militia groups, these anti-government groups, these white supremacist groups. What you think was going to happen? Now let's see the history of it. Go ahead. So now this was done by 2 anti-government extremists. These was 2 white boys, right? And they planned and plotted this. I know for sure Timothy McVeigh was ex-military. I'm not sure if the other one was ex-military. Go ahead.
Perpetrated by 2 anti-government extremists and white supremacists, Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. The bombing occurred at 9:02 a.m. and killed 168 people.
Right. Now they bombed this building in the morning and killed 167 people. I think injured like 80 something more, 200 more. How much more is it injured?
That's injured 680.
Damn, 680 more. See if you find a picture of the building.
Okay.
Right? You ever seen the Watergate Hotel downtown in DC, Northwest Pennsylvania? You see how it's shaped kind of like an arc? Imagine the whole hotel was there, and bomb took the whole middle of it, and it's the arc. That's it. That's the Oklahoma. The Oklahoma bombing is that remainder of that thing that, once the middle was gone. See if you find a picture of it.
I got pictures.
Killed over 160 something people and injured 600 and something. So ridiculous amount. All right, who's free? Should I take that for the brother? And then go ahead and finish it.
So I get. I was talking about that top. Perpetrated by 2 anti-government extremists and white supremacists, Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. The bombing occurred at 9:02 a.m. and killed 168 people, injured 680, and destroyed more than a third of the building.
Right, destroyed more than a third of the building. You was able to pull out a picture? All right. There's different shots, different angles of that thing. I mean, that's brother. They brought Armageddon to Oklahoma. They brought the pain to Oklahoma, brother. And now in that building, I think either there was a children's hospital or some kind of child daycare. They killed a ton of kids up in there too. All right, go ahead.
Which had to be demolished.
Right, we couldn't be on TikTok tonight. There's too much killing and terrorism banners in 5 minutes. Right? They're saying because of structural damage of court, but of course they want to demolish and build the whole thing over to erase the memory of them being, that people. Go ahead.
The blast destroyed or damaged 324 other buildings.
Damn.
Within a 16-block radius.
Brother, they talk about the explosive devices they use. They rented one of them big old trucks, like a Penske truck. Them old big old Penske trucks, filled with barrels of this accept, and took out the whole building. And they said the shockwaves went through blocks of it. When you pulling me over, my broken tail is your biggest problem. Right. Go ahead.
Shattered glass in 258 buildings and destroyed 86 cars, causing an estimate of $652 million worth of damage.
But my broken tail is your problem.
Right.
You understand? Me driving in one state, but my plates is from another state. That's your biggest problem. Before you all did this, you need to profile your people more.
Right.
You need to do that. $600 and something million in damage, 100 and something people killed, over 600 people injured. And I'm the problem. You want to deport me?
Right.
Come on.
So we're gonna say the Edomites want to oppress the poor for like stealing on Christmas Day, but an Edomite, I think it was in Michigan with the RV, blew up a whole block just alone.
Block the whole block. There's one in Tennessee. Remember, that was in Tennessee. By the camp spot in Tennessee. It was right there by that camp spot in Tennessee. He come down there with the RV and blow up the whole block because he's just angry. You need to profile your people more.
Right.
Right? And you're going to see why. Give me some more.
Come. Local, state, federal, and worldwide agencies engage in intensive rescue efforts in wake of the bomb.
Okay. The Scully article, does it tell you in there why he did what he did? That's what you need to understand. Right? You know, Timothy McVeigh, I think he was relatively young. I think he was in his early 20s. Like, this wasn't no, military veteran. He wasn't, he wasn't in there, commanding a huge brigade or nothing like that. I think this was a very young guy who, had a motive and decided he was going to destroy the lives of people. Right? Does it tell you anything down there? You might need to look for another article.
I just happen to know, just off of knowing the case.
Come on with it. Come on.
So like Timothy McVeigh was what they call Christian nationalists, and which are white supremacists. And he was staunchly against abortion. And so in his way of protest of allowing abortion, he went and killed a bunch of people. Like you said, sir, it was a daycare in that same building.
That building, okay, it was a federal building, but they had a daycare for all the federal workers.
Right.
That ain't the only reason he did it. Right? That's one reason they say, which is why this oppressor, he has started to pull over his own people more.
Right.
If he's concerned about homeland security, you need to pull over every oppressor with them glasses, every oppressor that look like Ted Bundy, that look like J.T. Holmes, that look like what's the one from Syracuse?
Peyton Gendron.
Oh, that look like Dharma. Everyone that looks like them, even the I forget her name, the one that made the movie over, where she was a hitchhiker and she would just kill everybody she got right from. They made a movie about this girl, a white woman. She was the name of the movie was called Monster, right? She was an old trailer park trash type broad, and she would try to hitch ride from state to state, highway to highway, and she would just kill everybody up. Anybody who stopped to give her a ride, she'd go from one state to the next, and they end up dead. So
their name was Pippa Baka.
Maybe I don't
Pippa
know.
Baka or something.
That's what it says. Some devil that just look like you shouldn't stop. Go ahead.
I got the motive.
Go ahead.
The motive.
Give me the motive.
The chief conspirators, Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols, met in 1980.
The chief conspirators, meaning there was more. It's just these two who taking the fall,
right?
Because this was organized crime. This wasn't just let's show him something, Nichols.
Right.
You're right, Timothy. Let's go. This wasn't Google Power Rangers. This was organized crime, and they just take the fall for the squad. Right. Go ahead.
Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols met in 1988 at Fort Benning doing basic training for the U.S. Army.
So both of them was ex-military. Go ahead.
McVeigh met Michael Pointier as an Army roommate. The three shared interest in survivalism.
Right, that's in preppers. Right, that survivalism is talking about them preppers. Old preppy people. Preppers digging old bunkers in the ground. Learning to hunt. There's nothing wrong with learning to hunt. Nothing wrong with learning to live off the land.
Right.
But not for the reason they do. Right, go ahead.
McVeigh and Nichols were radicalized by white supremacists and anti-government propaganda.
Right, they were radicalized by white supremacists and anti-government propaganda, which is what is actually bringing up the Christian nationalists. Right, really white nationalists. That's really what they are. Not, they blow up that building in Jesus. That's white nationalists. That's what it was, and they existed at that time, and it was more. Not prevalent. There was a lot of them at that time, but because of the technology, it's not like now where everybody get a ping off your phone and this and that. The surveillance on them wasn't that vast.
Right.
So they was existing, and you just wouldn't know until something like this happened.
Right.
Go ahead.
Like so, comment online, Brother Yaquatas or Yahabara says, Salagi, sir, Timothy McVeigh was also reading a white supremacy book based on Adolf Hitler called Turn or something.
They all read Hitler books. Right. All of them. Any white supremacists, any white nationalists, they all read Mein Kampf, the term something, they all read those, you know, white supremacy, pure reads those Art of War. They all read them, all of them. That's their, you know, that's their capital.
They expressed anger at the federal government's handling of the 1992 Federal Bureau of Investigation FBI standoff with Randy Weaver and Ruby Ridge.
Right. So 1992, the FBI and the ATF had a standoff with this devil named Randy Weaver in a place called Ruby Ridge. I think this was in Montana, Idaho, one of them states there, in just where it's trees and hills.
Right.
And this devil had a cabin or something up in there, but he was a member of one of them white supremacist groups, one of them Aryan type groups.
Right.
Right. Allegedly, the ATF, which is, as you know, the Bureau of Ammunition, Tobacco, Firearms, Ammunition, Tobacco, Firearms. Allegedly, they sent a mole in there, and he was down in this group with them.
Right.
And this mole allegedly sold Randy Weaver some illegal guns. And they came to him to say, well, listen, we're going to jam you for these illegal guns unless you inform on the whole group. He was supposed to go to court. No, he said he ain't informing. So they brought the gun charges. He ain't show up for court. No, Felix, this is 1992. This is, you get gun charges for the ATF. You free to not show up. Meanwhile, your tail light is out. You losing your job because you in jail until whenever. Khalif Browder killed himself because he was spent a year or 2 years in jail for a backpack. This devil bought illegal firearms that they know of. But they said they sold them. I think that's entrapment, but I ain't no lawyer. And he's free to not show up. So of course, because it's a stain to the, you know, Bureau and the ATF, because they really was priming him to tell on what the white supremacists doing. They say they're going in for him because now this is a stain on them. So they go in for him, and of course, in typical oppressor European fashion, he let off behind them. He ain't buy them guns for show. Them guns ain't to go on the wall. So there was a standoff between these agents and him. It was an 11-day standoff in 1992. I think it resulted in 2 FBI agents dead. His son was killed. He was shot, and his wife was killed also. His wife gets shot as they retreated back into the house. They thought the bullet hit somebody else. She's dead. And a lot of this was carried on the national news. So of course, you know, the rest of the groups, they incensed over it because his right to bear arms, and he had a right to be here. And the media, see if you can find anything on Ruby Ridge. The media, of course, is talking about, you know, extremists and their religious practices, of course, to get pretense and to get public support to go in there and fully crush that whole thing. When we're talking about this is a family. This ain't like 20 niggas who doing something. This is a devil and his family, right? But of course, they want him to turn on this group so they could go in there and do whatever they had to do for whatever reason. Whether it was a land grab or it's just they, you know, want to clean them out, whatever it is. But that's what they did to them, right? Now imagine they're doing this to their people. Imagine all the things they did to us. All them stories you hear from the Black Panthers, the civil rights movement, not civil rights movement, and the Black Power movement, the 20s and 30s, where brothers is trying to do things, sisters trying to do things. These stories have real credibility when you see what the ATF and FBI did to their own people. What you have?
Couple concerts, like you have. Extensive litigation followed Ruby Ridge. Initially, Randy Weaver and Harris were tried on a variety of federal criminal charges, including first-degree murder for the death of Deegan.
Right, so that's and this Deegan is one of the FBI agents. Right, and he was shot early on in the game because, of course, they go in and they're gone home. So initially, he survived. That Randy Weaver, he survived, and apparently he was a very pivotal person for this group. He survived. Initially, they charged him with first-degree murder and a ton of other firearms charges.
Right.
But because the thing had got political now, shit flipped.
Right.
And he ended up testifying in the Senate. He came down to DC and did a whole Senate hearing. And brother, the FBI and ATF was damn near almost dismantled over the whole shit because who authorized the shooting of these people? These was Americans on American soil. All of a sudden, it's Americans on American soil, but they do it to us.
Right.
So all this is happening all the way. Keep going.
In the successful defense, Weaver's attorney, Jerry Spence, made accusations of criminal wrongdoing against the agencies which were involved in the incident. In particular, the FBI, the United States, the USMS, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, and the United States Attorney's Office for Idaho.
Right.
Harris and Weaver were acquitted of all of the siege-related charges.
Of what?
Of all the siege-related charges.
They dropped the charges and all of it. Them niggas blow away 2 federal agents. Then they dropped all the charges. Anybody knows why they dropped the charges? You all remember the Bundy Ranch? You ever heard of the Bundy Ranch?
Waco?
Not Waco. Is it Bundy? I think it's Bundy. Google Bundy. Hold that article. Coming back to that, right? Okay. Y'all in 3 minutes, 8 o'clock, we're going to switch over to Chicago. We're going to be rocking tonight from 7 their time. If you want to continue the classes, come to I.S.U.P.K DC, all right? I.S.U.P.K DC. But everybody on the online classes on YouTube, we're going to switch over to Chicago. Chi-Town, I believe Mount Park going to be rocking it up. Don't forget the lecture, Commander Johnny Yahanna lecture. He's moved it over to the Chicago School, 9909 Roosevelt Road, Westchester, Illinois. Again, I apologize for the inconvenience, but General so it's fit to bring this thing home and close to everybody. The school, everybody knows, location, everybody knows it's easier to find because everybody knows where the school is. Come down to the lecture, 9909 Roosevelt Road, Westchester, Illinois. All right, what you got?
How about to type it in for the or is it banner for the people to see? Where you said Westchester?
Westchester, Illinois.
Okay.
Shabbat.
Bundy Standoff, who's ready?
Give me the Bundy Standoff. Come on.
Bundy Standoff. In 2014, Bundy Standoff was an armed confrontation between supporters of a cattle rancher, Clevin Bundy.
It was an armed standoff between what?
Between supporters of a cattle rancher.
Right. Between supporters of a cattle rancher. Right. So this is a cattle rancher. Once again, he have a ton of land.
Right.
He rearing cattle, which means he making a rack of money. Right. All them longhorns and bulls, whether it's bull riding or the beef industry he making a ton of damn money. Right. Go ahead.
Clevin Bundy and law enforcement, following a 21-year legal dispute in which the United States Bureau of Land Management, BLM, obtained court orders directing Bundy to pay over $1 million in withheld grazing fees.
Right. They have grazing fees. Right. Taxation without representation is tyranny. But they're charging you grazing fees because, of course, you're making so much goddamn money. Why the hell not? Right. This is just the nature of the oppressor. I read today, I found this very, very funny, that U.S. citizens who plan to travel to Europe starting January 1st, 2024, now have to apply for a visa. It's never been like that before. Never been like that before. I'm like, well, goddamn. At least you have to pay some time.
Right.
Obviously, all of a sudden, now everybody who have a passport have to go and they say, it's just to, make sure everybody is, they want to know who's coming from America to different European countries. But of course, it's similar to brothers from England when they come to America, they have a form called an ESTA form. It's something you fill out, where you live, who you're going by, and you pay it for like 10 or 15, and that's it. It's their form of a visa. So now American citizens, I've never heard that before. America is one of the #1 passports in the world. Now you have to pay $8 for this vetting fee. And they say in the article the certification takes like about 5 minutes normally, but if something triggers, then it could take anywhere from 15 to 30 days to approve. But they're looking at the increase in this passport applications over the past year, where this is like a 40% increase for this year. And it's backlog. So they do the math. And there's like, if 3 million extra passports, 3 million times 8, that's revenue we could get every 6 months or every year if everybody want to come. Right. Get the point? Like, that's the oppressor. He's going to take whatever he can from him. So now they have this 21-year standoff with these oppressors for this ranch, and they wanted the land. And they're going back and forth with them, and like every oppressor, he ain't giving nothing up. Right. As far as he's concerned, he deserved what he had, even though he stole it and got it through slavery. He don't care what anybody else's right. He's going to fight for his right. So there was a standoff between Bundy and the government. Right, go ahead.
Raising fees for Bundy's use of federally owned land adjudicated to Bundy's ranch in southeastern on March 27, 2014.
Right, I believe this was in Oregon. But I'm mistaken. You could check where it was. Go ahead.
604 acres of federal land in Clark County were temporarily closed for the capture, impound, and removal of trespass count.
Right, so now they went ahead and trespassed them from their own land. Similar like to what they do in that older sister, Manfredo, we did on talk about a couple of weeks ago. And there's another couple in Colorado where their neighboring ranchers was trying to run them off the land. That's kind of normal. Not normal in terms of it's no big deal. But in American history, fighting for that size of land, that's has been on the floor. That's really American, way. Right. Anymore? Skip me down to where they actually get going with it. Go ahead, freeway out.
Clavin and his son, Ammon Bundy, and their supporters have claimed that the federal government lacks the authority to manage public lands. These arguments have been repeatedly rejected by legal scholars in federal courts, including the U.S. Supreme Court. The Property Clause of the United States Constitution grants plenary authority to Congress to manage federal property, including land.
If we don't do the actual standoff, there was a physical standoff. This right here is just paperwork and charges and whatever. There was an actual physical standoff with the Bundy Ranch, and I think ATF and sheriffs. Right, until they find it, because I go ahead and read what he had for the Ruby Ridge.
Harris and Weaver were acquitted of all the siege-related charges, and Weaver was only found guilty of violating his bail terms and of failing to appear for a court hearing.
Right, so that's the only thing he was found guilty of, because he was over on bail, and he said, "F it, I'm not going to court because I know what you're trying to do." Right. Go ahead. Now, again, it was alleged they sold him, illegal guns. From what you see here, they ain't really proof of it. That's what they try to build a case on.
Right. The Weaver family and Harris both filed civil suits against the federal government in response to the firefight and the siege. In August 1995, the Weavers won a combined out-of-court settlement of $3.1 million.
1995, that's a lot of money. Right. 3.1 million. I mean, it's a lot of money. It ain't enough if you don't kill my son, my brother, and my wife all in the same day in front of the face. That ain't enough. I have sympathy for these oppressors, but I'm just painting the picture. Right? So they took the government to court. They won a settlement, and they was awarded that. Now, of course, in the settlement, there's other things that probably was given, not just the cash. They probably was given certain land deeds and tax exemptions for the next 50 years. Who the hell knows? And of course, a promise of not being pulled into any kind of charges again was area and group they want. So that was in 1995 August, right? That thing happened in what, 93 or 92? When did it happen?
This happened in 92, sir.
92, right? So now let's go back to Timothy McVeigh. You find anything on Bundy? Let's look up Bundy. Go ahead.
The lawsuit by Luke Regional Health was filed more than a year ago, accusing Alvin Bundy and his close associate Diego Rodriguez of making defamatory statements against the hospital and its employees after Rodriguez's infant grandson was temporarily removed from his family and taken to St. Luke's Amen, concerned for his health. Since then, Bundy has ignored court orders related to the lawsuit, filed trespassing complaints against people hired to deliver legal paperwork, and called on scores.
Okay, that's all the like Cold War play that's going on, right? It's all of those bullshit that's going on. I'm gonna have to tell you, the sheriff and them came to evict them from the land, and they had I think it was just the sheriff and them first. Them devils draw all the guns at the sheriff and make the sheriff then put the guns down. Then they called for the FBI. They met the FBI out in the land. They met them and said, "Listen, if you all want this to go this way, don't go." Right. And the FBI backed off.
Good night.
Absolutely backed off. And it was a huge deal because everybody is like, "You're lighting up everybody all over the damn country." But these people here, what's happening? Why y'all ain't doing it to them? There's a reason they ain't doing it to them, and you'll see why. Let's go back to Timothy McVeigh. Go ahead. What's happening?
Probably, so if I may, I'm also reading too in this Bundy situation. These cats is associated with the Oath Keepers, like all those white supremacist groups that was associated with the storming the Capitol as well.
Now they're going to try to link them together now. No, not before. Right. Like 2023, the Capitol was stormed when? 2020?
2021.
21? No, 20.
21.
21?
We're
trying to get 21. Right? Back then, 2020, 2019, 18, they ain't linking nobody together.
Right.
They ain't linking nothing together. Proud Boys been doing what the hell they've been doing. Nobody.
Right.
We ain't got no evidence.
Right.
Right. Just like with the school shooters. The school shooters, the FBI's what's called that thing? Profile. The FBI's profile of a school shooter, they say they don't have one. Right. They say they don't have one. We'll see what it takes to make them have one. Right? Go ahead.
Inside the vehicle was a powerful bomb made out of deadly cocktails of agricultural fertilizer, diesel fuel, and other chemicals.
Agricultural fertilizer, diesel fuel, and other chemicals. You imagine he had to buy this in bulk. Over time, he was a rancher. You understand? See the connection already? All these white supremacists, all these ranchers, they had a play in this thing. Right. They had a full play in this whole thing with Timothy McVeigh. You'll see some more. Keep going. And of course, he's in the Israel military, so they trained him on how to do this type of shit. Right. He learned how to do this. He knows what to do. Go ahead.
McVeigh got out, locked the door, and headed towards his getaway car.
Right. That's the whole bombing thing, right? Even there's a part in there, I think they tell you when they found him, he was singing some song that means tit for tat. Some devil song that mean eye for an eye. When they found him, he there jamming to the thing in the damn car. Give me the reason. The reason. I know one was Ruby Rich. So that what's the other one? The reason. Give me that one. So of course you can imagine. There came some white American male, and then they killed this man's wife. Right. And of course every white man is like, my wife. So they're looking at this thing here in 1992, like, what the hell are they doing? I know how white people are. They're always trying to take our guns. They're trying to take our guns. And you have all the whole rise in the Second Amendment type people, right? over my dead body, you gonna cry this from a cold dead hands.
Mhm.
Timothy McVeigh, you see this Waco thing here. He was selling bumper stickers with all sorts of, they say it's anti-government stuff, but it's more like pro 2A type stuff. Right? Go ahead.
Come. The Waco siege, also known as the Waco massacre, was the siege by the U.S. federal government and Texas state law enforcement officials of a compound belonging to the religious cult known as the Branch Davidian.
Branch Davidian, it was a group run by this guy called David Koresh. You might have heard his name before, right? David Koresh, into that thing here, right? And they had this compound in Waco, Texas. It's a compound in the middle of nowhere, but they just out there living free life. And similar things again.
Right.
ATF saying they have an illegal gun.
Right.
And they come in there to raid and move them out. Added to that, this David Koresh is having sex with everything that we. Yep. I mean, this nigga was sick. He's an absolute sicko. He had some part of the doctrine he was saying was they need to stop having sex because it's catering to their base self. Right? Too much sex, too much pleasure. It's catering to your base self. So you all practice abstinence, it'll raise your spiritual IQ or whatever and make us closer to God. However, I'll assume the word no sex for everybody. I began to lay wood on everybody's wife. I'm talking about everybody wife, everybody daughter. As soon as the knee start bleeding, wife. So them two things is why they went in there for it. Right? The guns thing and that. Right, go ahead.
Kawakam. The ATF had planned a sudden daylight raid of the ranch in order to serve these warrants, intending to quickly control the situation and reduce the risk to all parties that was associated with the large catch of modified weapons and explosive devices.
That's what they're alleging. You know how much proof they have of it, because you might want to do some research on this Waco thing. Between the ATF and the FBI, they're building that whole thing to the ground.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if they have money, I've had ashes today. Right. It's done. Everything is done. And now, okay, they said it was a sudden daylight raid. It was a 51-day standoff.
Right.
There was nothing sudden about it. Right. These devils got tired of this Texas sun in 1993 and said, that's it. That's that. We're done. Either you're coming out today or no. All right, no problem. They went in there, brother. Keep going. Let me see some more.
Any advantage of surprise was lost when a KWTX TV reporter who had been tipped off about the raid asked for directions from a U.S. Postal Service mail carrier who was coincidentally Koresh's brother-in-law.
See? So, okay, by that time, I want to say it could be about 8 years, maybe even 10. By that time, he had already rose to good power in that part, and people was coming from all over the states to become members of this Branch Davidian. They down there had like a little village home, right? So in that immediate area, somebody is related to him, either through the marriage or through the compound. Everybody know who the hell he is. Right. So when this TV person asks for it, of course he meets up with somebody who's affiliated with them, and then find some way to tap into them and let them know they're coming. Right. But of course he was always telling them that this day would come, the government trying to take their guns, blah, 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 blah. They would buy a ton of guns because, of course, being white nationalists, they want to have the ability to try to defend themselves, right? But white America's government knows white people, and they understand that these white people, they read that Second Amendment Act, which talk about the right to form militias against the government in case the government fall. You might have to pull the exact words. I don't want to misquote it. But it's something similar to that. They know that white people will take that to mean, I'll just storm the Capitol. Right. I'll just do this. Remember, the Black Panthers went into that Capitol in California. I think it's California, right? California with unloaded guns. And they proceeded to pass a law from that, using that, to make it where you can't just have it just out in the open.
Right.
These people growing up buildings, shooting people, mass shootings, and there's no law against them ever. There's no law against them ever. It's like how your license, your driver's license, or your insurance policy had to be over 25 to get a better rate. They shouldn't make it that you had to be 32 as a white man to buy a gun.
Right.
They had to be 32 years old, never got locked up, never had DUI, never beat your wife, never listened to punk rock. If they could find a picture with your fingernails black and you have on black lipstick, you get no gun. But that's these damn terrorists.
Right.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Read it.
Second Amendment right to bear arms. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right. To read it again for myself.
Second Amendment right to bear arms. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear.
Well-regulated militia, right? Militia, that small group of civilians that form the military down here, paramilitary, right? Go ahead.
Being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right, the right of the people to keep and bear arms should not be infringed. Right, they'll go all the way to the deep end of that meaning.
Right,
and the American government knows this about their people. Yet still, they would keep light surveillance on them, but never ever terrorize them the way they terrorize us.
Right.
And these groups never ever see what they do to us as terrorists.
Right.
But they'll try to make you cry blood for this Davidian group here. Like if you go and do any research on it, they'll try to make you just cry blood for these damn devils when these devils wasn't innocent.
Right.
There's straight child molestation going on there. Some girl had a baby at 12 or 13. And this is David Koresh, one of his wives. That's he's claiming them. Meanwhile, he's taking it from everybody else. Who the hell knows what else is going on in there? Right. Get it point? They allow them to run through. So now after 51 days, between the FBI and the ATF, one of them, but they both eventually denied culpability for what happened because it was a big gaffe. Because over the 51 days, they had these negotiators there that was able to negotiate, I think 20. This might have been there. It was not a huge number. It was probably like 20 or 30 people out of the compound, right? He was able to negotiate them out. But the rest of them was in there. It was over 100, I think, or maybe 90, somewhere around there. The rest of them burned to death. They all died, right? And you'll see how it is they all died. It's supposed to tell you exactly what they went in there. Let me know if you're in.
Oh, go ahead, sir. After 51 days, on April 19, 1993, the FBI launched a tear gas attack in an attempt to force the Branch Davidians out of the compound's buildings.
Right? Now they launched a tear gas attack. Meanwhile, this David Koresh, if they say he was stockpiling guns, dummy, what else is think he stockpiling?
The mask.
Exactly. So now of course, he's already know this is what's coming.
Right.
And he knows this is what's coming because, again, being an oppressor, you're going to, you know your people, you know what your government is going to do. And this is a year after Ruby Ridge.
Right.
This is 1 year after Ruby Ridge, plus other things that happened before.
Right.
Keep going.
Couple of times. Shortly thereafter, the Mount Carmel Center became engulfed in flames.
Right. Mount Carmel is that Waco, Texas site. Right. That main one of the picture that Rob just had up. That's the Mount Carmel Center. Right. Go ahead.
Couple times. The fire and the reaction to the final attack within the group resulted in the deaths of 76 Branch Davidians, including 25 children, 2 pregnant women, and David Koresh.
Right. So all of them died. All of them died. They put that gas in there, and they gassed the whole building. You probably could find video footage of them rolling the tanks up in there, right? there's old footage of them hanging a sheet. Because of you maybe old enough to remember, they had a sheet outside their window because it was a huge building they had, and they said, "God help us, we need the press now," because the FBI and the ATF was really cutting them off from everything.
Right.
They wanted the press so they could tell the story that this shit is bullshit.
Right.
And they wanted to, of course, talk about the Blue Bridge. Meanwhile, you gotta find it. Timothy McVeigh is watching this standoff go on.
Right.
Watching it. He already talked about Ruby Ridge was bad.
Yep.
He's watching this, and he watched them burn these people. Like they went in there with his tear gas. Apparently, the tear gas at that time was extremely flammable, and they, fully gassed the whole building because they wanted them to run out. These people did not run out. Wherever they was in the building, the whole building catch a fire somehow. The government is blaming David Koresh on them. David Koresh and people say it's their fault because they knew this tear gas would it's flammable, it's highly flammable, right? So they all blaming each other. Whatever happened, the whole building catch on fire. There was no EMS, there was no fire, no nothing. This thing, burns to the ground. Nothing standing. Go ahead.
I think I might got some too.
Go ahead.
McVeigh, an Army veteran, believed the government was attacking American personal rights and freedom. His anger hardened on April 19, 1993, when 76 men and women and children died in a fire during an armed standoff with federal agents in Waco, Texas. Many mistakenly believed that the federal officers had set the fire. McVeigh, who visited Waco during the standoff, said that the government had declared war against the American people.
So, government declared war against the American people. Meanwhile, we just had to take all them hangings and them lynchings and then set it on fire. We had to take that on the chin.
Right.
I guess that ain't war. That ain't declaring war against us. We had to take, missing Native Indian girls who you're just passing around gang raping and young Isupk babies on the border. Right. We just had to take that on the chin. That ain't war. 400 years of slavery. That ain't war against us. But you watch this here with little pedophile in there and whatever gun charges he had, and God knows whatever else was going on in that Davidian branch. Right. They burn, the government declared war on American citizens. We not your problem. Black, Hispanic, and Native American people, we are not your problem.
Right.
You are your problem.
Right.
Anymore? Go ahead.
He was fired the first shot in a new American Revolution.
Now, he said he's going to fire the first shot in a new American Revolution. What's the root word of revolution? Revolt. Which is what?
To rebel.
To rebel. And rebellion is as a sin of witchcraft.
That's right.
He went, now, of course, America can't produce nothing but rebellious people because America was built on rebellion.
Right.
Taxation without representation. Right. They built the space on rebellion. So he saw that and he was incensed by it. He's like, listen, y'all did this in Ruby Ridge, y'all did this here in Waco, no problem. I'm gonna handle that. Right? Go ahead. Any more? There should be a whole other article. But anyway, I'm just working forward. So from this, he went on to plan that Oklahoma bomb. You understand? His ideology was like America burned with quote unquote innocent men, women, and children. So I'm gonna burn your innocent men, women, and children because he blamed the federal government for what happened. So he did a whole tips for tat. Right? Tips for tat. When we have to the census into death and to get whatever year the children to give them needs of death. Right? And that's your Oklahoma bomb. Right. Now you see how many groups are in play with this whole thing here. Some of them are not related to each other, only for the sole purpose of they are fellow white people. McVeigh was no Branch Davidian, neither was the Ruby Ridge people. But all they know is they see white people trying to have whatever freedom they say they're gonna have, and revolt against the government, and despise authority and despise the leaders, and do their own thing. And whenever it comes up now the rebellion has to be in that type of blood they're the real terrorists of the land. And
Right.
January 6th wasn't something that was spontaneous or new.
Right.
It's been in the works for years. You just don't want to lock your own people up.
Right.
You don't want to profile your own people, so no problem.
Right.
Your terrorism, you don't like what happened to you, and it was the unlawful, really terrorism again, the unlawful use of violence.
Terrorism, the unlawful use of violence and intimidation.
Right, the unlawful use of violence and intimidation for,
especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aim.
Right, in pursuit of political aim. You don't like that what's happening. Meanwhile, you allowing it to happen to us. Somebody now giving the Philly move bombing. Standoff in Watts. I think there was a Watts standoff the same way. And also give me they should have a list, or they may have a list of when the tactical squad, the SWAT teams, use tear gas in that era, and it resulted in the buildings catching on fire. Right? Somebody check it out and see if you can pull it up. Anything pre-1993. Right? I know definitely what the Philly bombing, it wasn't tear gas, it was a straight bomb. And I think it's the Watts standoff. I believe that was the Black Panther standoff, where they went in there with tear gas and that building caught on fire. All right, we have it.
Oh, 1985 move bombing. 1985 move bombing, locally known by its date, May 13, 1985, was the destruction of residential homes in the Cobbs Creek neighborhood of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States.
Cobbs Creek is really close to that school up there. Go ahead.
By the Philadelphia Police Department during a standoff with MOVE, a Black liberation organization. Philadelphia police dropped 2 explosive devices from a helicopter onto the roof of a house occupied by MOVE. The Philadelphia Fire Department allowed the resulting fire to burn out of control.
But be careful looking for the video. I believe NBC owns the whole video. So if you're going to use it, they're going to fly.
Just a picture, sir.
So what? You can get a picture of them dropping the thing. There's a picture where you see helicopter over and they're dropping the thing on the building.
Yikes.
But there's a video of it. There's a whole video of them doing the thing. Go ahead.
The Philadelphia Fire Department allowed the resulting fire to burn out of control, destroying 61 previously evacuated neighboring homes over 2 city blocks and leaving 250 people homeless.
Right now, you ain't give a damn about who you affected. This is in May. It ain't quite summer yet. It's just coming out of the cold. You done light this fire because this is Black people in there, and you decide you're gonna just burn them out to come on out, and this results in over 250 people being displaced. Give me how much people died in the bomb. Anybody find the other one with the gas?
Look at that.
I play about 10 seconds of the video, sir.
I don't want to risk the video getting flagged, so don't even go. I believe NBC owns it.
6 adults and 5 children were killed in the attack, with 1 adult and 1 child surviving.
Right. I believe one of these survivors is related directly to Condoleezza Rice. I think that's her younger sister or her cousin or something like that. Right? Condoleezza Rice, who was an advisor to Bush, she was secretary or something like that, Secretary of State or something. You know what I'm talking about, right? I believe one of them is either her sister or like a first cousin or something like that. Right? So you had 6 adults, 5 children dying in this bombing, and this was done by the police. And this was this Black movement again, the Black liberation. The Black people want to be free from what? Terrorism. We want to be free from the terror your government puts on us, for hundreds and hundreds of years. The white man did studies on your DNA, and they found that in descendants or children who come from parents who went through something traumatic, they are born with a notch in their gene, and they damn near call it a trauma gene that comes from people. And they give examples. They say it comes from people like people who've been through the Holocaust and people who've been through slavery. Right. Which is what? This is the Bible meeting science, is letting you know that all these curses shall follow thee and overtake thee. How does the curse know who you are? It's in your DNA. Yeah. You being a descendant of a slave is in your DNA, which is why we talk the way we talk. We don't say you enslaved them. You would say you had us in slavery as if we were there, because it's in our DNA. The white man, he done did the whole, so I'm gonna look for the video and post it for you. He done did the whole study on this thing, and they found this gene that it's in there, it's in the people who have been through traumatic experiences, just like the slave trade. So now, and it's not in any other group. So all them Africans, I'm talking about DNA this and genealogy that, go check and see if you have the same curse in your DNA, in your genetic makeup. Right. And you will see this is only about us because of what we went through. Right. And we pass it down to our children. Right. Right? Go ahead. What was reading?
Come. A lawsuit in federal court found that the city used excessive force and violated constitutional protections against unreasonable search and seizure.
Mm-hmm. They violated what? Read it again.
Constitutional.
Go ahead.
Constitutional protections against unreasonable search and seizure.
Right? They violated constitutional protections, meaning you have a certain right to do certain things, right? You have a right to assemble, you have a right to religion, you have a right to certain things. And it said that these Philadelphia police violated their protected rights. Right? Go ahead. Read again the constitutional right.
And violated constitutional protections against unreasonable search and seizure.
Right? Against unreasonable search and seizure, similar to Ruby Ridges and Waco, Texas. How come giving white supremacists ain't blowing up buildings for this?
Right.
You know, I mean, not that they should, but shit. If you're really just, you know, what is called a Christian nationalist, you're a good Christian nationalist and you believe in justice and you believe in justice over tyranny. How come you don't look at, the battle at Little Big Horn, you know what I mean, or Wounded Knee, the massacre at Wounded Knee? How come all that doesn't come into your mind when you decide now you're gonna start the new revolution?
Right.
How come that doesn't come into your mind? How come as you protecting your ranches like Bundy? How come as you protecting your places, you don't be like, you know what? Government want to come and take my thing. But now I feel what the Native Indians felt. Now I feel what Geronimo and Sitting Bull and Red Cloud felt. How come that doesn't trigger with you? That doesn't trigger with you because you're the devil fighting. And you deserve to be fighting yourself. You deserve to be doing it until one of y'all die. Whoever survived, they're going into slavery. That's right.
That's right.
What else are you holding for you? That's it.
We go to the attack incident.
I think that's good. I want the other one with the tear gas. Anybody found it?
I can't find a list, but I found an article just talking about the suspected use of tear gas in Waco.
Where's this article from?
The New York Times. So.
Go ahead.
Come on. Death in Waco. The tear gas chemical isn't meant to cause fire. They said that this is their
That's their explanation.
Yeah, counsel.
Their explanation was that the tear gas was not meant to cause fire.
Right.
But let's see.
The gas used by federal agents in their attack on the Branch Davidian compound yesterday is not flammable, and in the form it was reportedly used could not have ignited the fire that destroyed the compound. Dr. J. Young, a chemical consultant in Silver Spring, Maryland, said that a mixture of the chemical known as CS and air could be ignited only if the ratio of the gas and the air was within a very narrow range, and that flames could not spread beyond the small area where such a ratio might exist. The Federal Bureau of Investigation said that after it rammed holes in the walls of the sprawling compound, it used a gas generator mounted on an armored vehicle to turn the white crystalline substance into a fine mist and spray into the compound.
So you understand, right? You gotta see the footage. You probably might need to go look up the footage. They took tanks. I'm not talking about trucks.
Right.
I'm talking about straight up tanks with a big old gun on there with the big tractor, chain wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And just ran over all the cars, ran through the front door, ran through the side. And they had an arm, like a big old arm like this. And on the edge of the arm would have like a canister.
Right.
And they use them generators to just, it's not that they throw a canister in there and just, the tear gas come out. They was pumping that thing in there.
Right.
Pumping it with what? Water? It got to be air. So that makes it, and he talking about it. I don't know what the hell that is.
Right.
But there's cases that they had before where they tried to use tear gas to get people out of buildings and the buildings catch on fire. I believe one of them is that Watts standoff in California. Check and see if there's anything.
I also found a Chris Dorner situation.
Christopher Dorner, Tawada. Come on. Give it to me. Right, Christopher Dorner, if you remember him, he was a brother. He was ex-military, was a Marine, highly decorated, became an LAPD officer, and he married some oppressor. I think that was his wife, I believe. And the oppressor, I think her father was the state prosecutor or the district attorney, some shit like that. And eventually he broke because they were racially abusing, the racial abuse turned to him, basically. Right? Meanwhile, they was been racially abusing brothers and sisters in California forever. But the abuse turned to him. He said, you know what, ain't no sweat. I trained for this. He went and got a sniper rifle, his guns, and started shooting cops and lawyers. He fled and he ran up into the hills, something like that, Ruby Ray, some cabin. And they say, yo, we ain't even want him to come.
Right.
They shut the cabin up until he barricaded himself in. They waited till he ran out of bullets. I think he surrendered. And they pumped gas into that thing and light that cabin on fire. They say they wanted him to run out. They blocked the door for him to run.
Right.
It's on tape. You can go watch the tape.
Damn.
They blocked the door and they cooked that brother in there.
Right.
It's on tape with the whoever is the lead on the tactical squad saying let it burn.
Yeah,
he said on the news tape, he said, yeah, just let it burn.
Right.
Let it burn. Because this dude, I mean, he was just popping up and busting their ass out. He's a Marine, he trained, he's a correct soldier.
Right.
And they went in there and they did the same thing. So if you can find what standoff, see if it happened with what standoff. I believe that was involved Black Panthers.
So like, around what year the Watch standoff was? Was it recent or?
No, I think it's like, could be 89, 88, could be somewhere around this. Or maybe before. Right? If you can't find it, I know so. Nothing.
Right, so is this the one with the bank robbery? Walking down the street with the armored suit?
No. This was, I believe, just was it Detroit? I may give it the wrong. It may have been Detroit. This was, I believe, in Black Panther or some kind of black power. And there was a racial incident with these cops, and the thing got out of hand. And they called for a ton of backup, and it was turned into a whole standoff. And it escalated until I think they pumped the buildings full of tear gas to make everybody run out, and spontaneously again combustion. Because I think this CS gas, I believe it's outlawed or something like that. The Geneva Convention say it can't use some kind of nonsense like that because of the dangers of it. So now there's a whole history of these white supremacist groups coming together, feeling for one another, actually having empathy for one another, and rising up against the government. But somehow the government decides to look at Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians as the number one enemy, as the number one threat. I don't see any, white supremacist children being put in cages. I don't see any white supremacists, they trace their family back to Belgium or Denmark and say we're going to deport you all because of your political alliances, and they're not doing it on purpose because they know that if they do touch one, the others are going to start attacking, just like Timothy McVeigh did.
Right.
Get the point? They understand that's about their people. They understand that they could have blown away everybody on the Bundy ranch, but if they did, shit, some state building somewhere is going to blow up.
Right.
You understand? Some subway somewhere is going to blow up.
Right.
So now we really just have to look at that and take it on the chin and just hope and pray that one day all this integration is going to work out for us. And that's never ever going to happen.
Right.
That's never ever going to go ahead.
Why shootout?
Let me hear. Did it end in a fire? If it didn't end in a fire, it's probably not. All right, I probably just quoting which one it was. All right. Okay, so now you had the terrorism, right? Unlawful use of violence to promote some sort of political agenda or social agenda, right? There is a lawful use of violence that could promote a political agenda as well, right? And when Christ comes back, he's going to enforce that lawful use of violence.
That's right.
He's going to absolutely enforce it.
That's right.
Give me the first one-on-one, Revelations 13, 9 and 10. Also give me in the Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra 13. All right, let's start right there. And we'll run it down. Give me hold Ezekiel 35 and 5.
And you want 2nd Ezra
13.
Mm-hmm. You want 2nd Ezra first?
No, give me Revelation 13, 9 and 10.
The book of Revelations, chapter 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear.
If anyone has understanding, let him hear, let him understand. There's something to fully understand from the history of this place as you look. Like they'll have mercy on their people, even though hundreds of people get put to death on their road in acts of terrorism. You have what? The Oklahoma bomb, you have the Waco thing, the Ruby Ridge thing, you have scores of school shooters, scores of it. Not to mention, on top of that, you have what he did to the children of Israel, Philly Move bomb, Rosewood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Emmett Hill. The list goes on and on. Slavery, Jim Crow, lynching. You have all of the abortion, the Planned Parenthood, the whole genocide that we plan for our people. You have all of that. And somehow you look at us like really main problem in the society, like really thing that, you know, really reason America is the way it is. You are the devil the Bible speaks of, and you need to feel the terror, not by another nation, not by the Arabs, and not by the Chinese or the Japanese. You need to feel the terror from the Lord. The type of terror you need to feel is not terrorism. You need lawful violence. You need the Lord to step down and do something to you where you can't blame nobody else. And you are going to know this is him. This is him, and the Lord is fully against you. Because up until now, up until then, you will think that the Lord is with you. You think that everything you do is your God's given right to do it. What is it? Have a word for it, or is a phrase. Manifest destiny, right? Manifest destiny. This is your God-given right to do this. And you starting to claim your whole history of hate now. Now it's not you slaughter the Native Indians for their land. You say we won. People fight their day for what they want, and we won. And they were weak. And we took it from them, like the brother with the blonde hair at camp on Saturday when he said, strong overtake the weak all the time. And he was caping for the white man. He was caping for our oppressor. Like you need somebody now who could come in and step in there, and you can't blame no other nation. You will know the Lord is not with you. So give me that.
Go
ahead.
Book of Isaiah chapter 47 verse 3. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance and not meet thee as a man.
Yeah, the Lord is not going to meet you as a man.
That's
He's not going to meet you like Kim Jong-un.
Right.
He's not going to meet you like the Japanese fleet that bombed Pearl Harbor. He's not meeting you like that. He's meeting you as God.
That's right.
Because you have no kind of compassion in you at all. You think, our lives are a game for you to play. That's what you think. You think, the lives of Black, Hispanics, and Indians are just, easy things you can throw away. It's like, put a cat in a bag and throw it in the damn river. Right. Like, do you think it's easy like that? And what you did to us is more horrific than Waco, Texas. Right. What you did to us is more horrific than the Oklahoma bombing. What you did to us is more horrific than any one of your tragedies. That 9/11. It's way more horrific than that. And nobody paid. Right. You paid me for, some standoff when he killed one of your people. Right. Let our brother even show a face against a couple of law enforcement. You'll beat him to death. But this Weaver, he blow away one of yours, and not only the charges get dropped, but you pay him $3 million. So how much more should you pay us?
That's right.
How much more should now you suffer for us? Because now he's an outlaw. Right. He's a full-on outlaw. You charge him, he ain't sure. You make bail, you give him bail. He said he ain't coming. You go for him, he shoots at you. Right. And you pay him $3 million? Like, the Lord needs to come and handle this thing. Right. Because you will not respect anybody else. Who was reading for it?
The book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 10.
So, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was going to say, Salakia say, all we showing that we're bringing out now. Everybody can see that. Everybody can see that this man is a plague. Because look at the amount of things taking place right in front there. I ain't seen that. What's going on? This plague need to stop. And just as they make it mention, only the Lord can stop this plague. Yeah. And that's why again, we really need to come back, because as I say, when you really look at what's taking place, and as I say here in Trinidad, and you watch what's taking place, what's going on. And just as we say, we his brothers now, the 12 tribes, 12 sons, everybody now going through, as we say, a state of depression. And because of everybody trying to mimic a plague, now we end up, taking on that plague. And as we say, we start to act like that plague, or start to take up the customs and the culture. So like yes.
Now you're right. You're right. Like now we starting to act more like him than how he is. So we started to be just like him, but we could never perfect the evil that he has. Right. He is the devil. We can't perfect it, but we sure giving it a good shot. We started to look, talk, behave just like how he behaves. But we will never get the same justice he gets. Like, imagine this, if they paid this Weaver $3 million, the whole thing with Timothy McVeigh was a conspiracy organized that. I don't know where he get the funding from to buy all that fertilizer. I want every farm that donated to him, seized that action. Right. But only him and Nichols paid for that, I believe. That means the two conspirators they charged. Right. When they were more.
Right.
They were more than this Branch Davidian, they still exist. Yeah, this Branch Davidian still exists. They renounced Timothy McVeigh. They say we had nothing to do with him. If we wish he came to us, we could have told him what to do with his anger. We didn't want anything against the government. Yes, we angry because you all killed so much of our people, but we don't want nothing to do with him. When had that been black people, that would have been shut down, dismantled. Yep. They'd have, lost everybody in jail. This David Correct, you go look him up. He was having sex with everything. Everything, brother. Everything. Even if the woman was married to another man. Right. He would say that's, property of the state. He said the burden is on me. Don't worry about it. But I'm a big disease for it.
Yikes.
I don't know how that thing ain't implode before the ATF. So he didn't push his praise up. You know what I mean? Keep going.
So the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
That's violence. And that's absolutely lawful.
Right.
When Christ returns, that's what's going to happen.
That's right.
Whoever leads a man into captivity, Christ is going to lead you into captivity.
That's right.
You, your wife, your children, your grandchildren are going into captivity, just like we did.
That's right.
That's lawful violence. That's not terrorism in that day. That's judgment.
That's right.
That's lawful violence. what's the other thing to say? Intended for political cause and a social cause, and it's for Christ's political agenda.
That's right.
Christ's political agenda is that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians rule the earth. That's his political agenda, and his social stance is equal. That everybody obey his laws, and we'll have a society of law-abiding citizens, and at the same time a society of examples of people who broke the law.
Right.
It's not going to be like this place here where you can shoot a federal agent and you get $3 million. And that's encouraging, if you ask me.
Yeah, come on.
That's absolute reinforcement of my actions, and you wonder why now today there's so many white nationalists and white supremacist groups. Why it explode? You're paying them.
Right.
You giving them what they want because you don't want to have a full bloodbath on your hands when maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you need to treat us. Maybe if you treated the Branch Davidian and Weaver like you did Philando Castile, Oklahoma bombing may not have happened. That's a big on your hands because you don't want to profile your own people.
Yep.
Just like January 6th. Just like every school that was ever shut up by anybody. Just like the movie theater in Colorado. That's on your hands because you refuse to know exact the same judgment you give to us as to your people.
Right.
You will suffer their terrorism and you will terrorize us. When Christ comes back, you're going to sleep.
That's right.
Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. For all you wiretaps who thinking, yeah, we gotta know he's inciting violence. No, nigga. It said this is the patience and the faith of the saints.
That's right.
This is what we're waiting on.
Right.
This is what we're waiting on. Scripture say, watch and pray. This is what we're waiting on.
Right.
We're watching you, we're watching our people, and we pray, and we're waiting on this thing here. This is what we're patient about. This is why we turn from our old life.
Right.
This is why we submit and subject ourselves to this rigorous life. This life we live is very, very rigorous. It's very demanding. It's a life that doesn't give an excuse for you to go out and seek sinful pleasure, like what Americans do. Americans need, they work in a hard week, or they had a bad quarter, and they go down to Vegas. That's what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right.
Why not stay in Vegas? Because it's a ton of sin.
Right.
It's a ton of sinful pleasure that you need in you because you live such a corrupt life.
Right.
Well, listen, our patience means that we have to turn from that. We have to turn from that, and we have to resist that in order for this thing here to happen.
Right.
This thing will not happen if we don't have patience. So you don't have to worry about us at all. You don't have to worry about us. Leave our street speaking to hell alone.
Right.
Don't come down there and park in the back and listen for, what are they planning.
Right.
Go listen for them two devils in the Starbucks.
Right.
Them two devils who meeting at the organic markets, who standing up all day with one tomato.
Right.
Go profile them. That's where your terrorism is coming from. You need to go. You need to go profile your own people and leave black people alone. Because the day is coming, you're gonna have to pay for everything you did to us. And what you did to us was way worse than Waco, Texas.
Right.
Way worse than Jeffrey Dahmer and everything else that you like to make people have a bleeding heart for. What you did to us is, unimaginable.
Right.
What you did to us is really something that if you tell this story to anybody else, you'd be like, nah.
Right.
Nah, they didn't do that. You making that up. Go ahead.
So what you're saying is heavy because the reason why I tell people you have to respect the I.S.U.P.K because by you not applying God laws and you lean on your own understanding, prime example, Black Panthers, we tried it with Black Panthers, they failed tremendously. Then they got the modern day Black Panthers with the Not Fucking Around Coalition.
The new Black Panthers.
They're Not Fucking Around Coalition. With the guns, walking up the street, they looked powerful. Now they had no foundation.
Well, once again, a lot of them is funded by the oppressor.
I'm gonna say that.
I think Black Panthers funded by the communists and by the Russians and Chinese. I think even at one point, Martin Luther King and the civil rights was also getting funding from communist countries. Because again, they're looking to choose the lesser of two evils.
Right.
In here, the devil had to kiss boots out. The lesser of.
That's right.
You're going to be a slave. We're not taking no funding from nobody for nothing.
Right.
We obey God's laws, and we know that you're going to pay for what you did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
again, this is the patience and faith of the saints. So again, you get in your sewing machines and your pieces lawfully. You make sure they're lawful because you see how they ran into the other places.
Right.
Make sure they're lawful. If you can't get one, don't get one. Don't worry about it. You have brothers who do have, but our reason for doing it is not the same as your people.
Right.
Your people is doing this thing to rise up against you. We doing it to have because we can, and the Lord said to have a fighting chance with you.
Right.
You have an absolute fighting chance to protect your house, protect this. It's absolute self-defense.
Right.
But these devils here, brother, they is rising up against the government. You drop a federal goddamn building. Timothy McVeigh's mother is supposed to be in jail.
Right.
His father is supposed to be in jail. The drill sergeant who trained him in the military had to go to jail.
Right.
Because if that was somebody black, everybody around him would had to, have some sort of fallout to face. But this devil get proper training, get nutrients, get nutrition. They fed him.
Right.
He grew up good and strong and blew up. I mean, they say 600 other people got injured.
Yes.
And 50 something buildings damaged. And my tail light, my one broken tail light is your problem.
Right.
My one little broken tail light is an issue. I didn't turn the signal on and I just turned right. That's your issue.
Right.
My car rode 6 inches on a stop sign. That's your issue.
Right.
Nah. You gotta have something coming, man. You gotta have something else. I mean, I'm second at 13.
Which verse, sir?
32.
13 and 32.
I got it, please.
Second Ezra, chapter 13, verse 32. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed you.
29. Psalm 29.
Come on, sir.
And whoever else have given Ezekiel 35.
Come on. Verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth, and one shall undertake to fight against another.
Lord, he is going to deliver. What's that? Deliver who? Them that are upon the earth. Them that are upon the earth is 12 tribes of Israel.
That's right.
That's who needs delivering. That's who needs saved.
Right.
He's going to begin to deliver us. Go ahead.
Come on. And one shall undertake to fight against you. Come on. Verse 30. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth.
He will come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. Why is it going to be an astonishment? Go ahead.
They're gonna see that his angels are black, Christ is black, and like not hold up. So these niggas that we was they the chosen.
That's why it's going to be a shocking thing to them.
Right.
It's going to be a shocking thing because just think about every alien movie you see. It's either they're clipping up to go to war or they're trying to make peace with the aliens.
Right.
Imagine there's an invasion coming, and when the ship lands, smoke clear, is an afro coming out and hip hop playing, some kind of hip hop style of music playing. What up, nigga? And then it's fire and brimstone.
Right.
They are going to be so shocked.
Right.
They're going to be astonished, like, what the hell is this? Do something. Not these people. They can't rule over us, which is half the reason you get pushback from these oppressors anyway. Half the reason you get pushback from an oppressor in anything you endeavor, be it sports, education, finances. Half the reason is because they can't afford to see you at eye level or above them. It's not in their spirit to do it. Anytime it starts seeming like that, they have to pull it out from under you.
Right.
Because in their mind, you're supposed to be lower than they are.
Right.
Which is why, again, Timothy McVeigh, Branch Davidian, the other one in the Ruby Ridge, and everything else, you hear about that, but you don't hear about what they do to us.
Right.
Because that would mean we have equal stance to them and equal value and deserve some kind of equal justice. You get the point?
Right.
That would mean that. Go ahead.
Also,
to check for me, the survivors of the move bombing, see if they get any money.
remind me of that
African chick at camp. Where she was like, you know, we never lived like this. We lived better than Americans. We didn't never had no welfare or nothing.
And she was proud that she could be. Yeah, that bitch going into slavery too. She's going into slavery too. I want to see her talk so proud.
Right.
I want to see her talk about, yeah, we picked more cottons than you picked in America. Good bitch. Good slave. Good slave. Good African slave. Good. I want you to pick more cottons.
Right.
Go ahead.
It said the city ordered to pay 1.5 million to plaintiffs and move mommy.
What year was the move mommy?
85. Sir.
85.
1.5.
With 5 children, 6 adults, displaced 250.
Right.
Weaver, he had his land and stuff still. He loses his brother and his wife. I'm sure he's gonna go get another one. There's 2 people. And he killed one of them. He moved people and killed nobody.
Not lying.
1.5 million to spread between who? The 2 survivors or 250?
Right, exactly. Right.
Like I said, and if I may, and they probably only got that money really because of the publicity at the time was so widespread that it was almost like they did it just to save face. Like it wasn't like they were really trying to mend something. It was like we got to save face because it wasn't expected.
From it because it was something that got out of hand.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like the Waco thing, just like the Ruby Ridge thing. Some devil, he just fed up with the shit.
Right.
And when he's fed up, that's what he do.
Right.
He, kill, steal, and destroy.
Right.
Let's get someone in second Ezra.
Come on. Verse 30. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth, and one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another.
As they see this and they get astonished, they're going to now undertake to fight each other. They're going to see it and now begin to turn to fight again.
Right.
Because again, seeing us in power is going to infuriate the oppressor. It's going to be like a nigger. Like they can't stand. They can't stand it. They'll hate us way more than Timothy McVeigh.
Right.
As far as they're concerned, Timothy McVeigh had PTSD. All the stories you ever heard about the Oklahoma bombing, it was never, you ain't never heard that shit about how he was just angry at the government for what they did.
Right.
And this was retaliation.
Right.
He tried to make it seem political. He had a righteous cause. Right. It was abortion and this. Nigga, that's some old crazy lunatic nonsense going on there.
Yep.
He's the real terrorist of the earth. Keep going.
And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen, which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. And when all the people,
the times, like how he showed us before, Christ our King going to be declared just like how he ascended up. He's going to come back the same way,
right,
in the sky with them angels, with them chariots, with them ton of power, firepower.
Right.
Skip me down to 37.
Come on, sir. Verse 37. And this my son shall
keep reading.
Come on, sir.
33.
Verse 33. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have won against another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting.
Right, that's what they want to do. They want to now decide to get together. Just like Timothy McVeigh got together on behalf of Branch Davidian.
Right.
Just like, he got together on behalf of Ruby Ridge. Just like January 6th got together, not on behalf of all the Haitians and Benjamites and Isupk and El Salvadorians they deported, or not on behalf of the 2 to 3 million black men that, mass incarceration in America's prison.
Right.
They didn't gather together on the Capitol for that.
Right.
They gathered together for white interests. They all banded together and broke America's laws, just like Timothy McVeigh,
right,
for white interests.
Right.
And right here, they're going to band together for the same white interest, which is to fight against Christ.
Okay.
Right? Biggest nigga of them all.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's like that's heavy too, because this morning they had at Congress, they had to get together a meeting about the UFO sites. They came to an agreement where they're going to talk to see what they're going to do. They're going to come up with a plan to figure out how to see what's going on. I have to right here live today.
In the Congress. Now, listen, in the past few years, the American government has come out and recognized that there's something out there. Right. They have to at this point because it's getting closer. At one time, they wasn't talking nothing about it. Right. They had all kind of deflective tactics where they try to say, well, this is a plane we tested, that whole Area 51 thing. Right. They would say that that's one of our crafts they tested. They'll talk about it now. Right now, who's the one? Is Nixon or Reagan?
Reagan, sir.
Reagan, when he said, what if one day we had a foreign entity come in and now they are enemy to us? Right. What differences ain't gonna matter. Right. And he began to, that was the prelude for the whole Star Wars initiative, right? The whole space program, right? They have missiles on the moon, ICBM missiles, to fight who? Who the hell is out there? Why you need a missile out there when the Arabs in Libya or Afghanistan, on camels and stones and IEDs? Right. You look up what an IED is, an improvised explosive device, which means you get some fertilizer like Timothy McVeigh, some accelerant, you put some nails, you put some ball bearings in it, and you compact that with something else, and that should blow up. You be talking about fighting people with nails and ball bearings with an ICBM missile. That's not for them. Right. That's not for them. That whole Star Wars or space program initiative is to fight our King Yahanna. Right. Right. Keep going.
But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come, and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and building, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands.
Right. They will not overcome him, but they'll be able to see Zion, and they'll be able to see us. Right. Like as they're getting destroyed, they are going to see us in power. They're going to look up and realize, oh shit, he come for them. Right. This is now who's going to rule. This is now who's going to be in charge of shit. Right. Right. But there's a little bit more. Come on.
And this, my son, shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations.
He shall what?
He shall rebuke.
He shall what?
Rebuke.
He shall what?
Rebuke.
Go ahead.
The wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest.
Right. For their wicked life have fallen into problems. Right. We're gonna fall into problems for everything they done did to us. Right. Everything they done did to us and forced us to swallow down and take on the chin. Christ is going to rebuke their wicked inventions. That's what all their atomic bomb. Everybody talking about Oppenheimer. Christ got something for y'all, nigga. He got something for you. You're worried about Oppenheimer. Don't worry about it. Right. Bigger and better. Right. You get one? He's going to rebuke their wicked inventions. Everything that they have that gives them power. Every amount of technology they have that gives them power, right? Our King Yahanna is going to rebuke their invention.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse 38. And shall lay before them their evil thoughts. And shall lay before them their evil thoughts.
He's going to lay before them their evil thoughts. You know what? Whoever survived the onslaught, Christ is going to drag you into a court. Like what America likes to do with their you get some old general from somewhere who commit war crimes. Right. He drives them before the Hague in Sweden or West Switzerland. Right. Drive them before the Geneva Convention. Right. Christ is going to drive you before the elders. He's going to drive you before the Most High. He's going to lay before you your evil thoughts. Right. You're going to, just like our person, when faced with a charge, you're going to plead. You're going to scream and cry and talk about your innocence and you didn't do it. Christ is going to come with the proof. Right. He's going to come with all the proof of everything you plan to do to us, everything you said about us, everything that you had in your mind to eradicate the nation of Israel with. He's going to lay it before you. Right. You're going to go to court now. Go ahead.
Come on. Wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like them.
Read again from the top.
And shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented.
Right. Meaning what? Who's that part?
Meaning the same, well, I can say the same, but the torments that they laid for us, the Lord is now going to say, well, this is the judgment.
He's going to begin. Right. Begin. They're going to have to eat That came first.
Right.
And then your chance.
Right.
Now all them torment they had for us, all them terrorism they was doing to us.
Right.
They gonna have to eat that first.
Right.
And then, you know, so what, you gonna get some slaves to do what they want.
Right.
Then you gonna get some slaves. You say they're going to begin to torment them with the same things they tormented us with.
Right.
That's right.
They want to go ahead and not police their own people, no problem. Just put the blunt down. Put the blunt down. Stop being a hole. Stop aborting your babies. Put the drugs down. Don't sell them no more to people and come up in the Israelite school of I.S.U.P.K and serve the Lord.
Right.
And brother, the Lord is going to make them pay something horrible.
That's right.
The Lord is going to do something you don't even have a knowledge of because we don't even know what they're thinking, what they're planning. Imagine, brother, the things that they're planning now. Think about the things we're finding out about now that they did to us before. We just finding out this damn Captain Bryant lied.
Yeah.
Just finding out she lied. Everybody was like, man, you remember for years, it was like, he shouldn't have whistled that. Why he whistled? He should have just, you know, why he whistled? He didn't even whistle.
Right.
Who the hell would even know that?
Right.
Imagine things don't know what they're doing. That they can find out 50 years from now. Now Christ saying down that.
Right.
They're going to suffer.
Right.
They're going to pay. Will you take him from himself?
And shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto me.
He said, which is like unto fire.
Which is like unto me.
It says me and your arm.
Yeah, come on.
Anybody else has fire?
It says fire before, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto me.
Don't tell me how you got fire? Somebody else got fire? I told you about these devices. You know, when Skynet take over and Terminators is at the door.
Right.
Be careful.
So it's like, so you'll say fire
after
without the labor by law,
which is like unto fire. So leave them devices out. Them devices. Them devices ain't gonna help you. You gotta pull off the dust. Look at Eli. It wasn't the phone of Eli.
Right.
It wasn't Eli's iPhone. Get yourself a book. You checking this or not? The app, don't worry. The app, you know, the app ain't happening. You need to get to the cloud on fire before we go.
Come on, girl.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Right, so hold on. He said he will destroy them without labor. What does that mean? So he will destroy them without labor by the law.
It's not gonna be work. It's gonna be quick work.
Yeah, niggas get caught and be like easy wood, like easy money, easy wood. Some slack. He's gonna destroy them without labor. Right. Without labor. They're gonna labor to save their life too. Right. Our king is going to destroy you without labor. You think Timothy McVeigh was something? Right. This is Christ come back. You think them bombs was something? It's the greatest thing on American soil. In fact, give me 35:5 and also give me Jeremiah 16. I'll tell you which one. Give me 35:5 quick. So much longer.
Book Ezekiel chapter 35 verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. 6. Thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
right? Because you have not hated blood as the oppressor, blood will pursue you, right? Blood will pursue you, and not because of what it did to your own people, but because of what it did to us.
That's right.
You did not hesitate to shed the blood of the children of Israel. You didn't care about them. You have to get standoffs, not because they stole land from Sitting Bull and Red Claw, not because they stole land from the native people, not because they put Hispanic kids in cages on the border, not because they lynch and murder and set on fire black Hispanic, Native Indian men, women, and children. You listen, you don't care about none of that. You stormed the Capitol for your own agenda. You stormed the Capitol for the right for you to do that to us again.
Right.
When Christ come back, brother, because you didn't hate blood, blood won't pursue you.
That's right.
Gonna overtake you. Go ahead.
Blacksmith. That's
Wait.
not
All right, read it again for me. You have it?
It's like since.
Since? Read it again. Because I ain't really getting what you
sin.
16 and 14. Go ahead.
Sin. Thou hast not hated blood.
Yeah, it's like since or because. Like say, you know, since you don't like this, or because you don't do this, it's like that. All right? Give me Jeremiah 16, 14, and 15. Last one.
Come. Okay. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But
it's going to be said that the Lord liveth. You know, it's not going to be said the Lord liveth who brought up the children out of the land of Egypt. Right. That's because right now that's the Lord's reputation. You see what he did to Egypt, how he killed Pharaoh and slaughtered it on his firstborn and slaughtered his military and brought Egypt to its knees. Soon that's going to be going to be a secondary story. Right. Go ahead.
But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north.
Right. What? And what is going to be known as the Lord who brought the children of Israel from the land of the north, the land of North America. Try that in a small town. Right. We don't try that in a small town if you're with it. If you want to, go ahead and try it in a small town. Right? He didn't have a words with Timothy McVeigh. Right. He didn't tell Timothy McVeigh, blow up a federal building. Right. Try that in a small town. When Christ come back, the whole America gonna be a small town.
That's right.
It's gonna be a small town.
Like I said, he didn't have the words for that second mass shooter at the concert he was at in Las Vegas. Like a lot of people don't know, that mass shooting in Vegas was a Jason Aldean concert, and he rushed his white scary self off the stage.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, the concert. I got the video coming tonight.
Stay tuned. The video's coming tonight. Wait, hold on. There was a recent one, or this one from a few years ago?
That one that was a few years ago. That major
one.
Yeah, Las Vegas.
That was him.
That was his concert. Jason Aldean concert.
And that was a small town. Well, it's not a super small town, but shit. Try it. What you can say, try that in a small town. Right.
And from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers.
While you fight here for this acres of land, federal agents and the bureau, this and the bureau, that, the Lord is going to come and put us down in the land, and you will be our slaves. Right. And that will be the end of that. There will be no more. Lord, he's going to have a reputation for being the Lord who destroyed the land of the north and brought us out of it. And every other place where we've been driven, he's going to put us out of that thing. Right. America, you breed your own terrorists, and you cultivate your own terrorism, and you die by your own hands because you don't want to police the people who oppress the children of Israel. Right. All your works return on you. The opioid epidemic is returning on you right now. Right. Your own terrorism, your own people is returning on you right now. You're trying to lock Trump up because you know you don't have a leg to stand on in the next election. Right. And if all these small towns come together, it's going to be a problem. If Christ come back, all of you all are going into slavery. Small, short, and you're going into slavery. That
security announcement. You got an I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and the commanding general Yahanna. New rules your brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they are offering them for 6 months. You have to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There was another 6 months in which a brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother or sister with permission from the head to marry. Tithes will be the commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi, chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. It means something in Hebrew, and it's pronounced I.S.U.P.K. 10% of every penny the Lord gives you give to the church department or teaching. Priest fund, free will offers for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you like to give. The upholding convocation, which is Salakia, memorial of going up the trumpets. First day of the 7th month, Friday, 15th September 2023. You can find this in Leviticus chapter 23, verses 24 to 25. Remind Walking to check on social media, such as I.S.U.P.K.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K. events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you need to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headbands, and scarves. And with that, I say, I'm not just going to stand. I don't turn. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew or after me. Avanau.
Shabbat Shemayim. Kodash. I.S.U.P.K. Yahanna. Malakotka. Taba'ah. Ratasayaka. Hayah. Aisha. Ma'arataza. Kawak. Hayah. Bashamaya. Nathanael. Lakan. Hey. Yawan. Masalakino. Come and walking up. Come and walking up. Come and walking up. Mala'ah. Come and iron up. Come and say one. A ball. Come and shout it out. My young. Right. Tayah. Lakan. Hamalakwa. Waha'alam. Waha'apara. Waha'avalani. Amen. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
Israel, you'll give one person to the teaching, and who's on Shabbat, I.S.U.P.K. Barak,
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat Rakatah.
Now you time, God, if you turn, you may stand. Men of Israel, we're going to give one person to the sister, Slacky. Men of Israel, Shabbat, I.S.U.P.K. Barak,
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yo, Matah, class dismissed.